compulsory license service?
Yeah, bro. TuneCore is everything. What you thought? You think they came here to play, bro?
Like they didn't? Are they an indie Harry Fox? Is that what's going on right now?
You know what? It's funny. I was listening to Wynn's old episode,
Mm,
and he mentioned the Harry Fox agency. I was like, oh, small world.
yeah,
One
man.
day when it's safe, we'll get into that whole Harry Fox thing.
To get that compulsory license.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. We will get into that. All right. As y'all can probably tell, I am sick as hell. Um, your boy's been going through some changes, man, in regards to being sick. But we are live. Theo, what episode is this again? This is
Hey, we mighty rocking with 29 right now, doing incredible things. I repeat, incredible things. Episode 29. And we truly appreciate you guys rocking with us from the beginning. If you jumped in the middle, we still appreciate you. And if you coming in for the first time today, man, listen, we want to let you guys know we love you and we truly appreciate you rocking with us tonight. Thank you for being here.
man. That is a fantastic intro. And Mike and Mike. So I know if I'm coming in too loud, y'all let me know in the comments. But I just want to make sure that I'm coming in loud enough. Yo, this week. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to let Theo lead us into TuneCore's quiet takeover, and then I'm gonna save my rant for later. Let's give y'all some meat and potatoes first, then, cause you already know what I'm about to get into, right? Like it don't take much, but let's get into it, man. So Theo, kick us off with the whole TuneCore taking over the world.
Yeah, man. So, I mean, as you know, there's a lot of indie distribution services out there that claim to be number one. I mean, but at the end of the day, the conversation realistically comes down to regardless of marketing services, regardless of publishing deals, regardless of any secondary administrative tools, the number one circumstance for a distribution service when it comes to an artist is where you're distributing to. Now, I'm gonna be all the way honest. I have not seen a DSP, a distributor, anything in correlation beat what TuneCore has access to. Believe is not playing. If you don't know who Believe is TuneCore's parent company. They are the definition of taking over. If you missed a few episodes back where we're talking about their new relationship with TikTok, because previously United Masters had the contract with regards to distribution to music through TikTok. Now TuneCore has that and has secondary applications within that same market. Now, a series of weeks later, we see in operations, TuneCore is now launching in Africa. Now, this is in the same aspect where Afro beats, Afro trap, and other things related to the African music market is now blowing up and also just became what, a Billboard chart? A
Yeah.
few episodes back we discussed.
So yeah, let me actually pull that up. So yeah, if you guys didn't know, so Billboard partnered with Afro Nation. So if you're not familiar, so Afro Nation is this humongous festival that is in Portugal. I just discovered it like a year ago, but like this is like their own version of Coachella, and it is. I mean, if you see pictures of it, in fact, let's see if I can actually pull it up. But Afro Nation is, I mean, it is a humongous festival, and now the great so there's a couple things in regards to this. So as you guys know, I'm tapped into like the Afro market as well as a Latin, reggaeton and dancehall. So I spoke to a couple people about this. Not to deviate from what you're talking about, Theo, but just want to give
Are you
context
fine?
to this as well. So there's a couple. So yeah, just showing some pictures here. So there's a couple people that I spoke to. They're not very happy about this. And what they were saying was that the reason why they're not very happy about this is because they feel that this is Billboard sort of patronizing.
Mm.
So if you talk to any like reggae head or what they call yardies, um, they're so pretty much, and I can maybe one day we'll go into like that whole audio thing where I can break it down. But reggae really is like the godfather of modern day music as far as the
Mm-hmm.
rhythms, the drum patterns. Like I said, I did a episode. I think I did a vlog where I was like, "Yo, you look at the West Coast, not the West Coast. I'm sorry, the East Coast beat structure. if you look at how many snares are in there and everything else, if you add a snare or two in there, you have an Afro beat or a reggae or dancehall drum pattern, right? It's just that everything's gonna have to strip down and reformatted. But I think it's great because I would like to see, WizKid and Burna Boy and these people that are really heavy into the scene. Excuse me. Really get their shine. Now I know those are like the two big like mainstream names, and there's a whole bunch of like I love Tim's. Like if you guys that follow me on Instagram or Twitter, like I love Tim's. I just want to make sure I'm coming in. I love Tim's and everything else. However, one of the A&Rs I spoke to that's really heavy into the reggae scene. Well, he's a producer. He said this is patronizing. I said, how is it patronizing? He goes, bro, tell me the last time you've heard an Afro beat on the radio, because that's what Billboard is supposed to track. Billboard is MRC data. They bought MRC data or Nielsen SoundScan. That's how they're able to come up with these numbers. And so here you have like, oh, Afro Nation. Like, okay, so tell me what radio stations are playing Afro beats. And I was like, well, that should bring some more shine here in America. It's like, yeah, but what territories are playing Afro beats? And he's right. Outside of Miami, New York, like we never heard Afro beats in Houston. I don't remember hearing Afro beats in LA or Chicago.
Yeah, but I mean, but that again, when it comes to music, it's going to be market saturated. But the circumstance when you're dealing with digital systems now isn't a matter of saying, oh, we're just tracking things applicable to radio. A lot of these streaming services, just based on the ISRC, can actually send that data over to Billboard. So let's say, for example, you have someone who's tracking in Africa. In that instance, now they can actually say, oh, well, everything's registered accordingly. Everything has been sent off left, right, left, right. So now Billboard has an opportunity to look at this and say, oh, okay, Spotify sent X, Y, and Z in relation to what's playing out as opposed to just radio.
Here's the issue. Spotify is now recognized everywhere. Like, for instance, I think Greece is one of the, not Spotify specifically, but like just like certain stuff where the government sends in the numbers. Right. Well, if I'm Ghana, Nigeria, South Africa, or Kenya, and I have a radio station, because Nigeria has their own like Billboard charts. They just came out, I think, a few years ago. Well, what qualifies? So this is where we get into like sort of the juxtaposition of like what's a gold record, what's not, and everything else, and like what should count as number one, because again, I think it's a great opportunity, but also at the same time, I can see someone like Ed Sheeran coming in and doing a collab with Tim's, and it takes number one.
Taking on.
It's kind of like what we saw at the Grammys, where the band that won reggae album of the year was an all white band. It's just like, you kidding me, right? And it's not
what you're saying is about to be the 1950s, 1960s.
Yeah, in a sense, and it's no disrespect to them to winning the Grammy. If they had the best album, I don't remember ever hearing their album. But if they truly had the best album, they did the best campaign, okay, cool. But it, like I said, you can see it opening up the door for that. So like, are we possibly looking at Tom Hanks dropping a mixtape? I'm being funny here. Tom Hanks' son dropping a mixtape. By the way, did you know Tom Hanks' son lives in Fort Bend, right outside of West Oaks in Houston? Yeah. So if you take Highway 6 down, like take Highway 6 down south, you run into his house. He lives not too far from my homeboy Taft's mom's house. I was like, how the hell?
I'll be perfectly honest. I'm not realistically surprised, considering a lot of those celebrities don't live in the markets we think they live.
Right, yeah.
They may have a house there, but they don't necessarily frequent all times. You know what I'm saying? They like to kind of switch up and get that get the privacy situation going.
Yeah, I mean, I respect. The only reason why we even find out because his girlfriend called the police, so it was a domestic dispute thing. So Fort Bend PD. Yeah, I know, it's kind of sad, right? It's like, I met your father in the set of Sully. I don't know why you acting like this, but anyway. Oh wow. But yeah, this is kind of just put a pin here for the Afro Nation and everything else. Yeah. I think it's a great opportunity, but I can also see it not being the greatest for Afro artists.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's what people have to understand is the American market is saturated. So right now, what we're looking at, because everything is global, especially considering we're 15 steps away from literally being Web3 and metaverse. And the reason why I say any up points towards 15 because it's going to realistically come down for us in the American market to market adoption. You
Right.
you can go to our, hey, say our Eastern markets, and they're light years ahead of where we want to be with regards to that aspect. They can literally flip the switch and be in metaverse tomorrow, the way things stand. You know what I'm saying? Or at least an iteration of it. Here, you know what I'm saying? It's a matter of, okay, how can we race to these global markets, you know what I'm saying, that are making a lot of money, but at the same time, we're not tapped in. You know what I'm saying? That's just like what we were talking about with regards to the K-pop. K-pop market's making a lot of money. It's tapped in America, but what is America doing in that market space? You know what I'm saying? With regards to transition of artists and how is it flowing back and forth? Same thing what we were talking about with the Middle Eastern markets. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like the Middle Eastern market has their own platform, own hub, and they're banking pretty much, let's say, high ranking numbers just as the quote unquote Spotify platform here. You know what I'm saying? Without necessarily being tapped into Spotify. So we're basically saying from business to business, how can we attack these markets that we don't necessarily have direct interest in? And we can basically spread our influence within these markets and at the same time have these markets spread their influence back. We're looking for new ways to make money because even with the internet, at a moment, a platform becomes too saturated, it becomes hot, then all of a sudden it starts to die off. That's what people argue about with Instagram. It's like as soon as TikTok came out and TikTok gained traction, Instagram is cool, you know what I'm saying? But now the what was considered younger generation that was on Instagram is now transitioned over to TikTok. But Instagram, in that sense, is trying to use applicable tools similar to what TikTok was doing. Same thing with Twitter and Clubhouse. Twitter, you know what I'm saying, is around because it's a news aggregator. That is the one thing it does better than anybody else. You know what I'm saying? Clubhouse comes around with these audio spaces and they say, well, wait a minute. We could do something similar to this too and adopt this particular behavior in our own system.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what it comes down to.
Right. So it's kind of like the whole like Triller charts. Shout out to Soldier Boy. I'm number one in Triller charts. TikTok charts. So that's what I'm saying. Like the so for the artists that are listening, the reason why we're bringing this up, kind of taking home, is that and it kind of goes in with the last episode with TikTok Sound on how they're gonna help you expose your music to a bigger audience. The thing with Afrobeats, especially for my Afrobeat artists that I like to work with, is this is opening up the door for you to get on the chart. Now, how you value the chart is up to you. However, I think the benefit of it is that if you do appear on the chart and you show this to your fans, hey, look, I'm number 101, and you know, the Afro Beats Billboard charts, that solidifies your brand. And we get it. It's low key a vanity metric. This is not to like water it down or anything like that, but you know, it is something that to look into. So if you're like in Afrobeat space, definitely keep an eye out on this. I think it'd be great. I think it's definitely going to open up the market, but at the same time, as my yardies are always saying, we don't know exactly how they're going to shift this. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. All right, I'm going to save the rent. All right, I'm going to save the rent. Where else do you want to take us, Theo?
Let's see what we got on that database of conversations, man. Because I know we were talking about closing out on the situation that is the slap.
Yeah, I have my point. I'm going to wait just a little bit longer before I go into a rant about y'all, and you know who y'all are because y'all listening. But go ahead.
I will say this though, you know what I'm saying, just for those who kind of like diving into the numbers and understanding what is beneficial or not. You know what I'm saying? There was I was watching, was it Jim Carrey that was basically talking about we're no longer the cool kids with regards to the Hollywood aspect from what he saw regarding that slap. I said, even to basically add into that conversation, they were talking about from a metric standpoint, 98% of people from 18 to 46 didn't even tune into the Oscars and what would be considered television, rather it be from a traditional sense of network and or from a streaming aspect. So you're like, wait a minute. You got 9 million people, is what the number that they were roughly quoting. But 98% of just the global aspect of your audience basically did not tune in. So yeah, I mean, the Oscars is definitely not that cool factor. But surprisingly, the reason why this thing went viral on the internet is, of course, because of the internet. But it's funny because they hide in all different types of little moments. Like they had, unfortunately, Jason Derulo falling downstairs. Shouts out to Jason. I love Jason's music, but yeah, that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? But it just goes to show it's like these systems, you know what I'm saying, that were put in place that were supposed to basically be the elitist culture.
And correction, 98% of 18 to 49-year-olds didn't watch the Grammys on Sunday. Not
the Grammys. Oh, right. Excuse me, the Grammys. Apologies. That's my situation. Oh, you correct that. The Grammys.
It's okay. Hey, listen, we ain't big enough for people to correct us. Forget y'all. Screw y'all. Hey, I'm here.
We make mistakes from time to time.
Look, listen, bring all the smoke my way. Theo's a nice guy here. And hey, I'm bringing my way. Y'all want to correct us or whatever else, man? What's up? But anyway, go ahead, man.
But even in that situation, I mean, again, we're talking about establishments that were put in the position for it to basically be the hierarchy, the pinnacle of your, how do you say, creative stature. If you made it here, you made it anywhere. The fact that we have audiences that are damn near 100% not tuning in is prefaces to say that something is about to change.
No, okay. So I want to push back on that, not to cut you off. I know I say that all the time. No, you're good. This is the result. You remember you went in that group text, but it was me and a whole bunch of people that were trying to get ready for the Grammys. My tux was ready. Okay, my tux is ready. No, for real. I have my ticket.
It's go time.
Yes, I was getting ready to send my Cash App and everything to the member that's gonna help buy my ticket. I'm looking for plane tickets and everything else. Like I was good. I had time off and everything. This isn't because this is a cult of a few things. One, you pushed it back, right? It was supposed to be January 30th, but then you pushed it back and then you changed the location, right? Mm-hmm. So that's one. Two, my voice is really cracking here, so sorry, y'all.
Oh, you good, man.
Two, if I'm not mistaken, they didn't really promote this like I thought it would. It did. The reason why I say that is because other Grammy or Recording Academy members, we say Grammy members for sure because I don't say that full thing, but other Grammy members, I was in Facebook groups with them and group texts with them, and they're all like, "Yo, fam, what's up?" You know how many people I know that got nominated that didn't go? I know a guy. His mom, him and his mom had a storybook that got nominated, and they almost didn't go. And he was like, "Yo, fam, are we going to do everything virtual?" So it wasn't anything more of they pushed it back and it wasn't promoted well because people were actually trying to say, "Hey, fam, when is this going to happen?" The last point. Go ahead.
No, you got a last point. Bring that in.
So yeah, the last point about this as well is that if I look at the artists that are nominated, I'll be honest with you, the artists I was looking for a producer of the year, right? It was Hit Boy, Jack Antoff, and another guy, right? And I really wanted to see who's producer of the year. Why was producer of the year put in the pre-Grammy show? That didn't make any sense. This is producer of the year. Why did they do that? The other part as well is, and I'll get into the whole J. Ivy thing, and I'm glad since LeVar Burton said it, I can say it, so I'll get it today in a second. And shout out to LeVar Burton, and J. Ivy should have won. I don't know why the hell Don Cheadle. How did Don Cheadle win Spoken Word Album of the Year for an audiobook? See, that's wild. This is what Paul Wall, Felita Hicks, and her team at the Texas chapter, as well as people in the LA chapter, are trying to fix in regards to that Spoken Word album. We really did lose out to Obama. We were supposed to be nominated for Spoken Word Album of the Year. I don't care what nobody says. I know for a fact we campaigned correctly. We got the right people, and shout out to Don Cheadle, cool. But J. Ivy was supposed to win Spoken Word Album of the Year. But whatever.
That's a Kanye West moment.
Yeah, and I'm glad LeVar Burton's fam, go look at J. Ivy's Instagram page. He was just like, man, you're supposed to win. And everything else, this is Jordan LaForge. You feel me? So anyway, but to bring it home, the artist album nominated, Olivia Rodrigo didn't say a lot about it. Everything that was going on with the Weeknd.
Speaking of the Weeknd.
Yeah, say again.
I said, speaking of the Weeknd.
Oh yeah.
I said, I'm going to talk about that $9 million. Give me that $8 million that you're gonna give Kanye.
No, go ahead. I gotta say my voice, but go ahead.
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm not mad at him. I mean, it's a smart place. You got the money anyways. I mean, comparatively, if we talk about it from an R&B standpoint, I can see him in his position basically saying, listen, I am the Kanye West of R&B with regards to records, et cetera, et cetera. I can understand anyone that's in his position saying, yo, go ahead and run that check. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I mean, it's gonna get interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong. People are challenging the narratives, even with regards to the Grammy situation. The fact that regardless of if it was a date change, if it was a promotional error, anything, we're talking about what is considered the upper echelon of your career. So it's like once you hear this is happening, that should make every bell and whistle move no matter what. But we've seen it happen time and time again across platforms. We see it now more so than COVID. We start to see the power grass slip. That's even like from a gaming aspect with E3. It's like E3 has been gone for years. It's like you've had digital conferences now for the last couple of years. Things just basically fell to the wayside. Now you have large corporations basically saying, well, even if it did come back, do we necessarily need to invest in this circumstance, the financial opportunities, if we can just do the virtual aspect itself? It just becomes a matter of, is it beneficial to say that when it comes back physically, when these things come into physical play, that we invest the money, have the booths, etc.? Like everything dynamically is changing. Everything that was considered previously as the top tier of your professional experience, this is where you need to be, this is the show, is changing, except sports. Sports is still there in that aspect. But from an entertainment aspect, minus that, everything else is basically getting flipped on its head one way or another. It's just a course of time. Even COVID is signaled. Yeah. Shout out to Sync Music. They be coming with the numbers. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, this is a signal of, hey, you as the industry, you as the, how do you say, previous leader of the industry, you have to start changing your behaviors. You have to start figuring out how to pull in that new generational market who is basically pulling away, saying, yeah, you're cool, but this ain't the direction I want to rock it anymore. That's the behavior that we're dealing with.
Yeah. It kind of to tie that all in is if just looking at the performances, it speaks to it what you're saying. So like, album of the year with John Batiste. Okay, I think I had this conversation with you before offline. John Batiste is a little bit older than us. Well, he's in a generation that's a little bit older than us. That's us. We listen to his music. Silk Sonic, we know it's meant for us, right? Olivia Rodrigo for the younger kids, Doja Cat and SZA for a little bit of the younger kids, right? So based on that, like you guys all know, when it comes to marketing, especially music marketing, you have to capture the younger audience to pull that to pull everyone in, and this just isn't doing it. I think it's great they had a performance by Billie Eilish. Unfortunately, I missed it. I had to take the trash out and got had to take the trash out and I missed it. I saw BTS performance that killed it. It's all over Lil Nas X did with Jack Harlow. I think that was dope. I saw Nas' performance, that was dope. It just I think they checked boxes, which is great, but I don't think they checked all the right boxes to really pull in that attention. Like I said, I don't remember seeing that many artists really promoted. The reason why it was in front of me so much is because I know a lot of Recording Academy members, and I know a lot of people that are actually nominated or campaigning to be nominated. So that's why. But outside of that, because most people didn't know. Like I said, I had something going on that Sunday. I had something going on, and I called a little bit of it, and I went to sleep. So, and this is supposed to be the biggest night for us as music creators.
Exactly. Several years ago, it used to be, listen, you said you got what going on? Nah, I ain't got nothing going on. You said I'm in there? Bet I'm in there. Whatever it took to get there, you were there. It was coveted.
Yeah.
That's not the way things are anymore. Like I hate to just put it all on COVID because that's not quite accurate. COVID definitely sped up the process of how the dominoes were falling. You know what I'm saying? With regards to saying, hey, the elephant in the room is you're not as big as you used to be, without question. You know what I'm saying? But at this stage, it's just a matter of time. I mean, if we don't get it together, I mean, what we saw the hip hop awards kind of fall off. What happened? What happened to the Source Awards?
That's another thing as well. How come you have hip hop album of the year and it's not broadcasted? This is a humongous genre. This is not, it was dope to see Chris Stapleton perform. It's actually even more dope. I didn't know I had some of his music in my library. I was like, oh, Chris Stapleton sounds dope. And I went to my iTunes and I was like, oh shit, I've been a fan of his for a while. I guess I just didn't remember his name. But anyway, that stuff had to be televised if you want to bring that you want to bring that attention, like the Lil Nas X
Mm-hmm.
performance. Yeah, Jack Harlow, that'll be dope. But you have to. You talking about one of the biggest genres on the planet. You feel me? Like no
Right.
one, no one wants to see. Like I remember some years they would have like contemporary orchestral album nominee is performing. Just like who the hell is such and such Bergendorf? Like who is like what are we talking about?
So I'm not gonna lie to you. So you know, laugh at this, but I'm literally going over this stuff in my media
Oh, is
class.
that right?
Again, for those who are popping in who don't know, I am currently and taking my master's in communications. In my media class, they have a section that was basically called high and low culture. Basically, how you know how from I can't even say American from the global standard. A lot of these major corporations are controlled by mass conglomerates. You know what I'm saying? As they say, the 4 or 5 mass conglomerates that
The
control everything.
Illuminati.
I don't even call it that. I just say the 4 or 5 mass conglomerates that control the vast majority of what's happening globally. You know what I'm saying? Especially from a Western standpoint. And a lot of that conversation realistically comes into what is being presented based from the elitist culture of what is market value. So as they explained it in the book, from high to low culture, high culture traditionally was like your classical music, your artisans, like how you hear Jay-Z talk about art and the appreciation of value, but we're taught that we need to invest in stock. High culture versus low culture. High culture values in art. Midpoint is stocks. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
As the, oh yeah, this is how the general working class gets their money. We invest in real estate, we invest in stocks. But you will hear people say hand over fist, the leader with regards to investment value in money is art because it always appreciates in value. Very rarely will you ever hear someone say art depreciates, especially classical modern art, Renaissance, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you look at the concept of high versus low culture model, the things that are presented to us that is considered the American dream based on that model scale would have been considered low culture. The whole aspect of having a whole bunch of women driving fast cars, et cetera, positioned to us as the concept of wealth. But what do you see about truly wealthy people? Jay-Z is a perfect example from the hip hop culture as someone who's running into these circumstances and I don't want to say idolizing, that's the wrong word, but representing it properly. Jay-Z doesn't wear all these gaudy chains. You know what I'm saying? Even when it comes to cars, Jay-Z drives very specific model of cars. Jay-Z dresses a certain way, but the way he dresses is it's highly fashionable, highly tailorable, very specific colors, things of that nature, but it's not what you see in the traditional concept of hip hop. But when you look at your billionaires, he dresses like them.
Yeah.
These billionaires do not dress in these gaudy behaviors, these attention seeking behaviors. As they say, you don't have to tell someone who's truly wealthy that they're wealthy. They know what time it is. But when you're rich, you know what I'm saying? As they say, when you get your millionaire, when you get your $1 million, they say that's the time you freak out the most. And we like, why, bro? You a millionaire. They said, but are you really? Because at the moment you spend $1, $100, $1,000.
You're
Are
no
you still a
longer a million.
millionaire?
Right.
Exactly. You went from what was considered the entry level rich to now just being upper middle class.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like the ideologies that we're taught, these James Bond concepts, is what I like to call them, because it's literally adrenaline, fast cars, lots of women, money. That's the American dream. But the reality is, if you look at it from politically to the actual conglomerates, these families who run America, they literally have a presidential look, as in these are families that are running. These people are married. These people have whole in circumstances that you don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? But it literally looks like you're looking at the president's president when you start researching these people. You know what I'm saying? Even when
So
you look at empires.
so what Theo's talking about is low key the Illuminati. Not really. But that that's why I say I no longer identify as a conspiracy theorist. I'm just a healthy skeptic. It's because so I was watching this. Shout out to MG the Future and Young Guru. That's what I was watching during the Grammys. Was MG the Future? He's a producer, really dope producer. You guys ever get a chance to check him out? Check him out. He's one of the few YouTube producers that are like actually like really dope, like for real, really dope. And I mean, the proof's in the pudding. Young Guru checks out this guy live stream. That's all you need to know. So Young Guru came in, and he said a pretty cool thing about MG. He said, "Man, he said, even though I'm nominated for a Grammy, I'd rather watch you make beats than watch the Grammys," which is one hell of a compliment. But one of the things he said to MG one time was like, "Stop saying they. identify who they is. When you say they, are you saying the government? Okay, who in the government? Are you talking about the Congress? Are you talking about the
Mhm.
Senate? Who is that? Oh, you only mean like this one person that's out of Alabama. Yes, well, he's an asshole. So yeah, of course he's going to say that. Of course he is going to control abortion in that state and trying to control it from a federal level. That's what you need to identify. Same thing
Right.
with this in regards to like when people say they like, oh, they don't want us to win. It's like, who is they? Like, you talking about racists? Are you talking about the elites? And who are the elites? Because as Theo was saying, when it comes to doing research, the Rothschilds don't care about a lot of stuff you're talking about. They could really care
Hmm.
less. Like, if you really want to go into it, we don't have to do it today. But like the Rothschild, yeah, they can control a lot. They can really care. It's they're the family of the family of the family of the family. They could care less what you think. They can care. I mean, they can take everyone's internet now, but that's what I want to say. It was like I would like to see people push more through that they and just identify who you're talking about. Are you talking about Coca
Right.
Cola? Or are you talking about Vivendi? Who are you talking about? Clear Channel? Who are you talking about specifically? Because once you find out, okay, this is who I'm talking about, it takes away the mysticism. It doesn't make it so scary. It's like it's just a corporation trying to control the narrative, and that's really all it
Right.
is. Speaking of money, let's get into this weekend threads to pull out of Coachella if he does again. So, all right. So I give you a quick rundown, then we'll get into it. So the reason why Kanye is pulling out of Coachella is because you good?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was listening to you. I had a little situation pop up that I was trying to on the low key rectify.
Okay. Um, so the reason why Kanye's pulling out of Coachella is because the whole back and forth that's been going on TikTok, Instagram between him and Kim Kardashian. The last straw was when he either Kim said that Kanye has sent a hitman to her house, or Kanye said that Kim sent a hitman to his house, and everybody's like,
Which
okay,
is
that's
crazy.
everybody like, okay, that's enough. Like, yeah, you got to go sit down, right? So Kanye finally
Right.
pulled out, which left an $8.5 million check available for anyone. And when it comes to Coachella, so the weekend's like, all right, I'm coming to like, okay, weekend, cool, but we'll only give you what was the number? It was way less than 8.5, right?
And see, if I remember correctly, they didn't even identify a specified number unless it was further down and I missed it. But it definitely was not what they were trying to give Kanye.
Right. And so I'm kind of on this thing, and y'all know for whatever reason somehow I become a defender of the weekend. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened this year, but somehow I become a stand for the weekend somehow through content, but whatever. I think the weekend is dope, but for some odd reason y'all keep coming at him, and I keep trying to tell y'all like he's much bigger than you giving him credit for. But anyway,
Right.
so do I think he should get the full 8.5? No, because you're getting an opportunity that they were going to give someone else. So you kind of lose that leverage, right? 6.5 to 6, yes. I that if you want to go for it, I understand. 8.5, not yet, because we know what Kanye's bringing. We know what that set's gonna look like. We know what that merchandise is gonna look like. We know how those fans gonna like. He can bring in a Travis Scott, a Pusha T. He can bring in whomever he wants at that point, right? He can have Cootie on stage with a camera and people flip out, right? For for the weekend, let me get this out the way. So for the weekend, I don't think he has a pull just yet. However, it has to be substantially lower for and it's substantially lower for him to be like, oh hell no, I'm not doing Coachella. But what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I understand exactly where you're coming from. What you're saying, you don't have the leverage. Not that he doesn't have the records, but in this particular instance, you were the second run up. You weren't necessarily the
Right.
initial pick where they were going to throw that bag at. But at the same time, I could also see where he's like, "Well, I'll take it or leave it," in the sense that you came to me because Kanye pulled out. So now I'm basically the person who's got to come save your backsides.
Well,
So go ahead and give me what I want.
I don't, unless I misread this, I don't think they came to him. I think he went to them first. Unless I
Let's
misread that.
see. Let's scroll up and let's get the definitive.
Then it's
Is
escalating. Okay, grab, what rapper decided. When the rapper decided, dropped out, that let organizers to find a last minute replacement. Oh, let's see. Singer will take a
can't feel my face.
Wow. Yeah, I know. So they don't say who approached who. So I guess they. So yeah, I guess they did come to him first. Okay.
Yeah, assuming they needed to find a last minute replacement, which would by default mean unless hypothetically speaking, the Weeknd had the inner circle and somebody said, "Yo, Kanye pulled out, holla at them." I would be even in that particular instance, even if he pulled out and somebody in his team like, "Yo, holla at Coachella," circumstantially they need the win. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like they're pressed for that headliner. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
But
So
if so, here's the thing. So let's play a game of what ifs. If not the Weeknd, who else could excuse me, could fill that space? You can't do Travis Scott right now because he's on a different campaign. Who else could fill that
yeah,
space? Beyonce.
I mean, but nah, Beyonce's not gonna feel that because Beyonce's gonna get a definite bigger bag than that.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
If they willing to pay 8 million, they're gonna be willing to pay 2, 3, 4 times
More,
that
more than that for
situation
sure.
because she's coming. You already know who she's coming with. So
So who else is in that space?
I mean, could they
Drake.
pull Drake, Rihanna? You know what I'm saying? I mean, Rihanna hasn't necessarily dropped a record just recently, to
Right.
my knowledge, but that doesn't mean that she couldn't pull. Like the Navy will come out. You know what I'm saying? Drake would that yeah, I mean that's a toss up with
And that
regards to
and the fact
how
you
that would play out.
and the fact you even did the she kind of let you know like that, and that kind of it's a testament to how big Kanye really is. Like he is a
Yeah.
global superstar. Drake is too. The only person I could think that could do this would be Adele. But I think Adele would
Yeah,
demand a
that's
lot
not a
more than 8.5 million.
yeah, but that's saying that Adele even wants that attention because just within the last records and the last album, she's like, I don't want that level of celebrity no more. You know what I'm saying? So that's stating that she would come to make that move.
Yeah, I don't know. But
But even in that case, that means you just basically switch genres. Like you had a hip hop headliner, then went to R&B pop headliner. I mean, at that point, if you're gonna stay remotely close, what Sam Smith?
nah, cause that last album didn't do what they thought it was gonna do. He
That's
could come out.
true.
He could come out with some hits, but I don't. Could he get the 8.5? I don't think so. I think you look at something a little lower.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, yeah, you're probably definitely switching genres.
Because I think Olivia Rodrigo's already there, right?
I'm trying to think. Is Khalid is he on the ballot to play? I mean, it's
Yeah, but what has he dropped like with that last album? Like all those people are on tour, with the exception of yeah, everyone is on tour, so he wouldn't be able to pull that off.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it's definitely switching to pop. I mean,
Yeah,
there, I mean, in hip hop right now, there's some
I
heavy
don't think
hitters,
so.
but
What's this right here?
far as current conversations go, there's not too many people in hip hop hitting as hard as Kanye right now. As far as it's relevant and just point of view, is not really too much of a thing.
Or you could do Drake and Tyler the Creator. Yeah.
Tyler, I need to go back and look at these posts with Tyler over here going after DJ Khaled again.
Oh yeah, you got to see that. You got to see the interview. He was on not the Breakfast Club, the other show, the morning show with Ebro, and he was just
uh,
like, he said, "I love the fact that this whole dude's identity is with
it's a wrap.
it's on him getting these numbers." He said, "I love the fact that I came in and destroyed that without even trying." I was like, "Yeah,
Without the features.
without the features,
He said, "You don't brought the super friends in. I done did this without the features."
without the features, my guy." All right, so I guess I can go into this rant, right? So we're what how much time have we got in? So
If we hitting the 10, we 20 out.
uh, and, I don't know. Yeah, so we'll say I think we're around 40, and I think it's more than that. Anyway, are y'all okay? Are y'all okay? Let me ask that again. Are you guys okay? The reason why I'm asking this is because I have never in my life seen this many think pieces over a physical assault in my life. Y'all are going so deep and dark into it. Y'all are saying stuff like, yo, Chris Rock had a pad on his face. Or what Will Smith did
Oh,
was
wow.
initiation into like the brotherhood. What are y'all
Oh,
talking
wow.
about? Why are y'all going so far? Fam, if this was two regular people and this happened at your job, y'all would talk about this for 20 minutes and that is it.
Be done.
It'd be done. These are two, like, take away the celebrity. This is just two men that get to a physical altercation and that is it. Are y'all okay? What is
You know what?
happening?
They needed a switch. from all the craziness that's going on the other side of the world, they needed something else to talk about.
Yo, listen, I'm gonna push. Is it possible? And this is where like it's like, oh Hans, you're going out of pocket. Screw y'all. Is it possible y'all don't have anything else to talk about? Like this is the hottest content you've been able to come up with. Like I've seen think pieces on first it was, yo, what is Will Smith going through for him to slap? And then it was, yo, how did this affect Hollywood? Doesn't affect anything. Two of his movies, I think one he had with Martin Lawrence got put on hold. Another one with Netflix got put on hold as well. For all we know, they were probably gonna put those movies on hold anyway. The economy's not doing that great. Have you seen inflation? Have you walked around New York? I paid $3 for a bag of Cheetos at my bodega. What's today? Thursday, Tuesday, $3. Okay, whatever. And then now it's, yo. If you look at the way his hand was held after he slapped Chris Rock, he's doing like the gang sign and he's saying that, yo, I'm part of the brotherhood. And it's like, yo, fam, what are y'all doing?
Wow. Y'all reading way too much
way too deep into this. I challenge y'all to go next week without saying anything. I have seen military podcasts talk about this. I'm over it.
Yeah, you know the world's dead on that one.
It's enough. Like, are y'all? It makes me think that you guys don't have any other content to talk about.
I mean, let's be all the way honest. What else has happened that has drawn the notoriety of what they would consider the golden boy popping off at the award show? I mean, there's probably nothing within this week circumstantially that has happened that has just been like, oh, that's eye opening.
But that was 3 weeks. That was 3 weeks ago.
Exactly.
You understand? That's what I'm saying. Two, almost 3 weeks ago. Like, we're over it. Like, I don't hear anyone talking about the Oscars. I don't hear anyone talking about the Grammys.
Bruh, there was no Oscars outside of that slap. That's all it was.
I don't hear anything that is going on. I don't hear anything about the NBA playoffs. You know, there's like a little glimmer of like the Lakers are not gonna make it in, and
that was it.
It's like there's a lot of stuff to be able to talk about. Like, we could talk about the Ukraine as far as I'm
concerned. The NCAA championship.
Can we talk about what's her name? Dawn Stanley, getting her wins and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of other stuff to talk about, even in just in music. But yo, I guess, man, I'm over.
We could talk about Corday on that same billionaire path, not trying to be on that rap. Same with 21 Savage. I'm not gonna lie, bro. It's funny because when you first saw this new class of rappers coming in from freshman, Excel, et cetera, you'd be like, oh, this ain't gonna last long. This is if they gonna go down this direction. I'm not gonna lie, I'm proud of cats like 21 for understanding what he was and then where he needs to be a lot quicker than predecessors. You know what I'm saying? Well, rather if it be just from a financial standpoint or just from a music standpoint, just kind of establishing a level of growth quickly.
I appreciate you trying to segue away from the rant, but I'm not done with the rant. Okay. The other thing that bothers me in regards to this is it's coming off disingenuous. You guys do not care about this man as much as you say. You never met Willard Smith. You never shook hands with Willard Smith. You never sat and ate food with Willard Smith. You never had a drink. Stop it.
This ain't pursuit of happiness.
This ain't pursuit of happiness. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Like,
this might be Gemini Man, though. I'm not gonna lie. This might be Gemini.
But here's the thing. For the people that want to up in arms with Will Smith, most of y'all have not seen Gemini Man. I can't remember the name of the movie. Was it Concussion? Where he played the Nigerian doctor. Y'all haven't seen Focus. Like, stop. Like, it's enough. It was a funny moment, and I get it. But God, dog it. Like, are y'all bored? But I this is what I think. I think we are a generation of overthinkers. I think we've been inundated with so much information that it's almost like a relief to overthink the situation. This is simple. It is a man who was fed up with stuff at home. He felt the need to protect his wife, and he slapped the guy. Whether you agree with what he did or he didn't, doesn't matter. That is all that has happened. He didn't drag him off stage. He didn't stab him. He didn't, he cussed him out. him and his boys, him and Jazzy Jeff and Scotty, they go up there and stomp him out and like in front of a bunch of people. It was none of that. It was a
They really
slap.
would have beamed him up, Scotty.
It was a slap, and people can say like, "Oh, Chris Rock must have a chin on him." I don't even think the slap was even that hard to keep it a buck with you. I
I'm
think
not gonna lie to you, bro. When I watched that video when Diddy said that, he's like, I ain't even thinking what I'm thinking. I mean, Chris Rock got a chin on him. I had to, my whole brain had to stop thinking for a second. I'm like, Diddy, what are you saying right now? What's going on right now? This made me think back to that Drink Champs episode where everybody started questioning when he was drinking, like he over there calling people daddy. I'm like, these is not the moments. These is not the moments when you do this, Diddy.
yes,
No.
it was a slap. Now if it was a punch, okay, but it was a slap,
Yeah, that'd
y'all.
have been wild.
It was a slap. Like stuff like this happens in neighborhoods all the time, and we talk about it, and then we go on with our business. We don't keep talking about it over and over again. So create new content. I'm going to challenge you all who are listening to this. Create new content. Don't sit like I get it. Anytime a moment happens, and I've done it too with the whole Ukraine thing. You guys have seen my reaction, like what CNN did with the Applebee's commercial and the TikTok for dancers and everything else. Like I've done it too. But once you make that content, move on to
It's a
something
wrap.
else. Yeah, move on to something else. That's it. That's my rant.
They're trying to make that, as they say, from a Vine standpoint, that 6 seconds lasts forever. Or in the case of TikTok, 10 seconds, 3 minutes, etc. They just trying to make that thing last. That's what's getting them the hits. I mean, if there's new videos popping up every day, it's like, oh, you just talking about this? Yeah, I'm trying to run for that million. I'm trying to run for that 500,000. I know if I post this, somebody gonna get with it. It's wild.
Yeah.
They just
All right. Let's get into this whole thing. We didn't touch base on this last time because we got caught up, but I actually want to touch base because I know a lot of you guys are really into the NFT space, and I know a lot of you guys have asked me questions about how do you fund your projects, and I think Diplo is kind of diving into that. So let me
it's that blockchain again.
yeah. So it says here, Diplo is the latest artist to let fans buy shares in the streaming royalties on 55 million backed NFT platform Royal. I'll be honest with you, like you, Theo. This is one of the few stories I didn't get a chance to catch up on. So would you mind kind of taking the lead into this one?
Yeah, I mean, in very, very short understanding, Diplo is basically saying, hey, you can buy my royalties. They create, I forget what the term specifically is, but they're basically creating an associated coin, in which case you could buy royalties. Now, this is a tier-based system. So this isn't one of those anybody just jump in and say, yeah, I want a Diplo royalty. I want a percentage of his music rights in his catalog. Like you're definitely going to have a bag doing this situation. But the principal idea of it is that in this instance, you would get a share point of the royalties based on the tier, as well as other associated merchandise and things of that nature. Now, this is just, I can't even call it new behavior because technically royalty sharing has been going on since blockchain really came out. This is just now being publicized because of the whole NFT space and it being a more public circumstance because people can tie NFTs to these various circumstances. But I mean, there's different sites that utilize blockchain technology that will allow you to basically buy into artist royalties in the sense that they're selling catalog. Just as we were talking series of episodes before, where these major conglomerates were buying whole catalogs, this is just the opposite end, where basically any consumer who has access to a vast amount of money can basically dive in and say, hey, I want to pick up a new revenue share. So in this instance, if Diplo, let's say his new record does 3 million, you know what I'm saying? So you're talking about taking percentages on that 3 million based on what you bought into, based on the tier level. So if you scroll down, they describe the tier levels that they're referring to. And I know one they said was like about $9,000 just to buy in on one coin. So it's wild stuff. So starting at $99, you get gold tokens, and that's 0.004%. Lord, that's not even 0.004% streaming royalty rights ownership is what they're saying at a starting point. So at $100, you know what I'm saying? So if you equate that to a stock aspect, you know what I'm saying? You can say, so like, let's say Apple stocks, you know what I'm saying? What about don't quote me on a number. I think they're somewhere within anywhere between 140 to 170. I have to pop up the app to look at it exactly.
148.
148. So you figure 148. So basically at 148 that you can get a share on Apple stock right now. You know what I'm saying? That same 100.
Sorry.
Oh, so I was right. So I said about 170. So he's like, so they up. Yeah, I need to check that this morning. We're up, by the way. But it's like at that sense where it's like you can get for $172, you can basically get one whole share. You know what I'm saying? That can increase or depreciate on the value. Here, you spend $100 and you'll get literally 0.004. So we're not talking about a tenth. We're not talking about a hundredth. We're talking about a 4,000th. You know what I'm saying? Of a cent in that sense with regards to royalties, which in some capacity it makes sense over a long-standing period of time. Like you're not about to all of a sudden become rich tomorrow based on that percentage.
No.
Because again, these are the same percentages that artists argue about now with regards to getting paid and actually making stability. You know what I'm saying? Having a regular behind $70,000 to $80,000 salary type situation just off music alone.
So let me ask you a dumb question. How does this benefit the artist?
So circumstantially, it's upfront money. It's capital. Somebody's buying in to take a small percentage. So yes, you're giving out a very, very small percentage of your music, depending on how your master situation is set up anyways, with regards to ownership, but you're getting upfront capital. So in so many words, it's crowdfunding. Because if you look down where it says, where is it? Finally, the diamond tier gives 0.7. So what, 7/10 of a percentage with regards to streaming royalty. Look at the cost value on that.
Yeah.
There are just 10 diamond tokens.
So here's my question. We talking about streaming royalties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Watch this. 0.7% of his streaming royalty rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you saying you're going to give me 0.7% of 0.0033 cents?
Basically. You're saying but see, but here's the funny part is they're not officially just on that article. I'm sure they would say more to it on a deep dive because you would have to break down the royalty aspect of what this actually looks like based on what they're paying.
For the artist.
But this varies because this is what Spotify's paying. This isn't what Apple's paying. This isn't what Deezer's paying. You know what I'm saying? When we're talking about royalty in a sense of sale. And remember, the only aspect when it comes to, because you're talking about a PA versus an SR with regards to ownership and rights ownership. Artists by default from a songwriter standpoint are going to pay attention to a PA. Now, they also get the SR just because it's a right to reproduction. But at the same time, you also got to consider, is there a label situation involved? What does that entanglement look like with regards to their actual royalties and what's received and what's actually received on their behalf? And then at that same time, remember the statutory rate is only applicable to actually downloaded records. We're not talking about your offline mode songs on Spotify. We're talking about downloaded via iTunes, via Amazon Music, via Google Music. So that 9.1 cents that you would traditionally receive, that someone would say, oh, I'm getting 0.7 of a cent on, like, no, you're not. Because unless their music is getting actually bought, and let's be honest, in most instances, CDs aren't being reproduced unless it's a very niche market. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, unless their songs are getting bought on one of those platforms, iTunes, Google Music, Amazon Music, from a Western standpoint, I can't speak to regards to other market areas, Eastern, et cetera, and what that situation looks like, because again, it's a whole different government. So their statutory rate is completely different than what is considered here. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, when you talk about that aspect, you realistically have to say, how many different circumstances does this vary in? Over a long-standing time, this may make sense. You know what I'm saying? For a general consumer.
I just want to be sure I got this right.
Mm-hmm.
So for $10,000,
mm-hmm.
I will own 0.7% streaming royalty rights ownership, right?
That's the general vague aspect that they're saying.
Right. Now, I have been told that the rate that indie artists get through DistroKid, TuneCore, and whatever else is different for major artists. They get actually a much bigger payout, right?
That depends, because if you're a major artist on a label, if they do it where it's a blanket license, like a direct, like how Universal does in some instances, those major artists may not actually even be receiving that aspect of money from streaming services. So it's hard to say what that looks like.
So you answered my question. So just a challenge is, if I pay $10,000 to get 0.7% of winning Diplo's song, and let's say, just for instance, this is the payout Fam, what am I paying for?
You're in short paying for you to have partial ownership of the existing record and or catalog.
But you do see these numbers, right? Like, I know
Oh, I
for
see
everyone
them.
listening audio. So I'm looking at the numbers, right? So 0.7% for $10,000, right? Title
Mm-hmm.
0.0128 cents. Apple Music 0.00783. Deezer 0.0064. Spotify 0.00437, Amazon 0.00402, Pandora 0.00133, and YouTube, gotta love YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
0.00069.
And that's the reproduction aspect. So what the argument for streaming now is based on the right to reproduction. So right to reproduction previously with regards to CDs was CDs getting pressed up. Again, that was the statutory rate, 9.1 cents. Now you're getting paid, not even considering what they're paying you with regards to the actual back end royalty. If we consider just the sale of itself, and when we say sale, we don't mean sale as in they're buying your song on iTunes. We can consider a sale at the moment they stream your song because you're technically generating money from the fact that they're streaming your record. It's just not as much. So it's like in that same instance, the concept of reproduction is what they're banking on. The fact that these songs are being streamed millions and millions of times. But here's the trick. We have to then say, okay, what is the calculated rate for one streaming service to say I make $1 million as an artist? How many times would that song have to be streamed? Heck, we can even go lower than that to say how many times does a song have to be streamed based on the rate of what Spotify pays out to make $100,000. And we're not talking about paying anybody. We're just saying to make $100,000 in sales added to my DSP's bank account to where I can pull out to pay bills. What does that look like? And then in that instance saying, okay, based on the amount of streams there, how many other people have also bought into this percentage aspect? So even if I made $100,000 as the artist, you as the fan who basically bought into this rights management aspect for any nominal value of money, how long is it going to take for you to actually say you made the money back that you spent, let alone go positive?
That's not even a real question. So you see here, so I looked at one of Diplo's songs. So for those listening,
Jesus Christ.
300. So for 349 million streams at a rate of 0.0128, which is titles, right? The payout is 4.4 million, right? Well, let's do Spotify. Hold on, let's see. Sorry, again, sorry, my voice is just horrible. Make sure I get this right. Okay, so for Spotify, that's 1.5 million. Wow, what a drastic change between Tidal and Spotify. Jay Z
Man.
told Jay Z asked y'all to come make money with y'all with him, but y'all
Mm-hmm.
laughed at him. Whatever. Anyway, okay, so they get 1.5 after taxes, after the label gets their stuff, after he gets his stuff.
I
How do
have to
we
pay out to everybody.
how do we know how much is going into the fan? That's a question I want to know that I don't think is going to be in this agreement. So if you're giving
Probably,
me
well, at
zero
least not
point 0.7,
publicly.
right? So if you're giving me 0.7%, am I getting that before you start taxing or after you
Exactly.
start taxing?
And that's always the question because it's like if you're in a loss leader kind of situation, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I gotta pay the producer, cameraman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, out of this royalty pool, especially if he received an advance and you got to pay the advance on a recoup. How much does he actually have left? And like you said, what is this 0.7 paid out of?
Right,
Is it paid off of net? Is it paid out of gross?
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, where does that situation fall? And like you said, we don't have those details up front. Now, what sounds attractive, and again, this is nothing against Diplo or any other artist doing this.
Yeah, not at
It's
all.
just a matter of what sounds attractive to a consumer in this situation is the name association of the artist itself. So your mental understanding of it is this major household name who, if I look on Spotify, says they have so many streams per month. You're looking at this saying, okay, well, if I consider they have 2 million streams a month, you know what I'm saying, on average, and is this on their whole catalog or is this on one specific record?
No, it's only
That's
one Pacific record.
And see, and that's how they start looking at this stuff and start saying, okay, if he has 2 million streams on per month on this song, for rather if it's in this playlist, rather if it's just doing that just in general because it's Diplo, how many monthly streams does he have on average over the totality of his catalog that's listed? And then I quantify that over a series of 12 months. Okay, then I have to calculate those streams over 12 months based on the percentage that I'm getting paid. But I also got to consider the percentage that Spotify is paying out. But the problem is, I don't actually know what he's getting paid because I'm looking at this based on what Spotify pays rates to indie artists. And I don't know what his contractual payment is. If he's in a label situation, does he get paid more? Does he get paid less? If he's direct to Spotify, does he get paid? Does he get more or less?
Some of these artists,
a lot of that's wild.
Like you said before, some of these artists don't give you paid from streams. All their money comes in. Like the streams are just for taxes or whatever else. All their money comes from merchandise and on the road. That's why some of these artists be on the road for 18 months straight. There's a reason for that.
And see, the crazy thing is the way it's worded, and I gotta be careful about that word legally, but the way it's worded just in the documentation, there's not a promise that you're gonna make anything.
Right.
They're just basically saying, if you pay this, we'll give you this. Right. So by all accounts, they could give you this. And within 2 years, Diplo decide, hey, you know what? I'm going to take a break from music. I'm retired. And then the only thing that you have an expectation to potentially make money on is the previously existing catalog, however that situation is going. You know what I'm saying? If they start spinning his records like crazy, if they start doing like, Apple Music and stuff has like the Essentials playlist, if all of a sudden the Essentials playlist, they don't really do, how do you say, what's the old albums, greatest hits? Essential playlists are the new greatest hits. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, in that situation, if those start taking off where people are really paying attention to those types of playlists, if his songs start catching in Spotify playlists, if they start going up on Deezer, all these other platforms, and it's like, if it start going crazy, then yeah, you stand to win. But like you said, you have to really buy into the tier. Like you basically have to get to diamond, you know what I'm saying, with regards to your money for it to make sense long term. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, by time it effectively makes sense for someone who paid $99 to get into the tier for that one circumstance, we probably at that point then switched into a whole nother platform of the internet. You know what I'm saying? I mean, because when you consider how far down the margin, and then you got to say, at what number are you to get paid? You know what I'm saying? It's like, are you one of the first people to get paid, or are you one of the last people to get paid based on the available funds? So the first round of money that came in, you don't get paid on the first round. You get paid on the fifth round. You know what I'm saying? Are they telling you, hey, you're going to get paid on this date every time? Like there's a lot of circumstances. It's very ambiguous the way they positioned it. Like I would have to believe that they have a lot more information in the actual contract that you would be signing or the agreement that you'd be saying you're rocking.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. This is interesting, and I do appreciate the effort to get your fans to get your fans to crowdsource. I'm gonna wrap up here soon. Crowdsource your album. But yeah, I wouldn't, cause like I said, I had a chance to buy into Nipsey's catalog. And when I thought about it later, I was like, what am I really paying for? And when do I get paid? Because whoever owns that catalog, his estate's gonna take their cut, and whoever helped put that deal together, so the lawyer's gonna get their cut, and whoever else, and then I'm gonna be one of the last. Right. So what am I getting for my $30,000?
See, and the benefit in this situation, instead of how it previously was, where you would just buy into the royalties, here they're saying, hey, we're gonna give you this NFT. So here's going to be the initial association is something that the vast majority of people aren't going to be able to get their hands on, especially if you're in the quote unquote diamond class, because there's only 10 of those. And then I believe they were also referencing the aspect of merch that would be incorporated, various things that you would be able to access as one of the quote unquote 10. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like in that situation, I can't say at value of spending $10,000 that is going to quote unquote be worth it for me. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, for someone who is a huge Diplo fan and just has the potential capital to just do it for the sake of doing it, I mean, it may make all the sense in the world, especially if you can say, man, yeah, I bought this and I didn't buy this to make money because I understand the percentages and the financial aspect of what this is going to look like. So this comparative to stock percentages is without question going to pay me it's going to take longer to actually receive dividends that make sense comparatively to any other market space. But the fact that I actually get to support someone I truly care about musically, that means all the world to me. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
This is, excuse me, the people that I think that will see something from this are the people that can buy the diamond tier, 4 or 5 times over, in my honest opinion. But doing the $99 joint, you could just say, yeah, I want a piece of Diplo's catalog. And I'm all about investing. In fact, maybe one day I'll have a conversation about an interesting conversation I had with a financial investor that I spoke to that I basically fired like the day we spoke.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it was some BS, but yeah, something to keep an eye on. So if you're an artist and you're looking to crowdsource, like I said before, definitely make sure it's set up for your fans to win and they'll really become a champion for you because
Yeah,
like they are literally invested in you.
right. Because I'm like at that $99, I'm definitely. I mean, again, no disrespect to anybody that's doing this. I mean, I respect your hustle and how dope the idea is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm like at the $100 tier. I'm honestly more or less probably going to just go invest that money in stock because I can
Exactly.
say I would see a faster return on appreciated or depreciated value. And at least if I put my money in it and for any reason it looks like it's about to fall short, I can pull out and shift to something else.
And also, just looking at it again, are you gonna say I have part ownership um, with a song that's already out or something that's new? Because what if that song doesn't blow up like these other songs? Because
Right.
look at his discography. This is Diplo has. That's not what I wanted. Diplo has released a lot of records. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Hold
Yeah,
on,
I
let
mean,
me
just
make sure.
even looking at his monthly listeners, I did what 32,000. They said, yeah, what is it? 320,000 he
No,
has?
32 million, sir. Don't do
32
Diplo
million.
like
Okay.
that.
I had to look. As I was trying to look at that number, I was like, let me see what that says. But nah, I would never disrespect. Diplo is the truth, to be perfectly honest.
I wasn't even following him, but yeah.
Oh, you was slipping.
No, this joint. Hold on. Where is it? Hold on. He has
So
he has a joint that was really fire.
if we,
Where's
so circumstantially, if we were to take the number of monthly listeners and multiply that by 12 and say he would make $1 million on that metric alone, yeah, we can say in a rolling year, he would make $1 million based on a 12-month calendar from just that segment, not even considering what the record play value is. You know what I'm saying? So we could say respectfully, if he's actually receiving that money based on that metric, that's a win. But again, it all comes down to all right. So when he receives X amount of dollars, you know what I'm saying, with regards to streams and plays, who's getting paid when? Are you getting the gross or are you getting off the net? Like, is it coming directly out of his royalty pocket or is this coming off the whole total pie when it comes in?
that?
That makes a
And
difference.
that is literally the $1 million question. That's why I'm skeptical. Like I said, I'm a healthy skeptic. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Um,
I need more upfront information
yeah,
before I just sign on.
exactly. But it's interesting. I do appreciate the effort, but I'm with you. I would need way more information before I dived into this. All right. All right, that is it. I think that is as much as my voice can take. We did pretty good. I was only planning on being on here like 30 minutes to give it a buck with you. So it was good I saved that rant because if I did that rant first, it would have really only been 30 minutes. But yeah, man. So shout out to everyone that's checking out the podcast. Really appreciate it. Appreciate that for you guys find it interesting. Let us know. Give us feedback in the comments. I'm cool with the text messages and the DMs and everything else. And I know I keep saying this over and over again, but if you guys can put that into the YouTube channel, I would definitely
Mm-hmm.
appreciate it. Just so other people can see it. Um, I'm going to start saying that a lot more. I'm going to, promote the link to as much as possible. Just so I would like to be able to build that community. Also, with that being said, I am going to be releasing the Facebook group next week. So we're gonna have some things on there for you guys to check out. Me and Theo have been working on something to help you guys get started in regards to not only your marketing budget, but also get you guys set up in regards to really putting your music out there in front of the right people, and also making money off of your music as well. That's all I got. Theo, you have to close this out because my voice is really getting
Oh,
bad.
No worries, no worries. We got two final things just to let people know. As I know we've been talking about for weeks now. It's felt like, well, honestly, a couple of months with regards to getting the podcast on Spotify, Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. So right now we are technically live. You can check us out on rss.com. You know what I'm saying? Capitalism and Art, the podcast. You can,
Spotify.
yeah, you can definitely check us out on Spotify. You can check us on Amazon Music. You can check us out on Google Music. You can check us out on Listening Notes. Now, full transparency, the indexing on Spotify right now is a little weird sometimes, so it doesn't necessarily always come up. So on the off chance, if it does not for any reason come up as Capitalism and Art, you can also search Urban Waves and then follow the podcast, and you won't have any issues from there. So make sure you turn on that. Excuse me. Make sure you hit that follow button, as they say on YouTube. Make sure you hit that subscribe and turn on the notifications so we can make sure we let you know.
And subscribe, fool.
I mean, that's real. That's the quickest way to make sure that you always get back when we get new episodes dropped. You'll know exactly what's happening. And the beauty of that is if you watch us on YouTube and you want to, you know what I'm saying, take us with you on the road, you got us right in your pocket. If you want to tell the homies about it, if you have any other friends in music, business partners, etc., who want to kind of tune in, but they prefer to listen to audio as opposed to watch the video, you have every available opportunity to rock with us and get that information that we want to give you. Yeah. And one final thing I'll say is for all artists out there, music business associates, we need to really get on this conversation on the indie level. Get a publisher. I know everybody says get your PRO up, et cetera, et cetera. Go get you a publisher on top of that.
So that's what we're gonna cover on the next call. Is I want to dive into publishing so you guys really understand it. There's still a lot of bad information out there. Yes, like somebody said, like, yo, my publisher is TuneCore, and this was like three or 4 years ago. I'm like, they don't do publishing. They didn't then. I think they do it now.
Yeah, they do have a pub admin. Them and CD Baby do definitely have pub admin services. Yeah. You got to be, that's the thing. It's one of those secondary services. You have to be mindful because you have to really see what they offer versus what you need. You realistically, as an artist, have to understand there is a difference between what an administrative publisher does with regards to tracking applicable information versus a publisher who's out there attempting to secure contracts, out there promoting things on your behalf versus someone who's hiring you as a work for hire. There are whole entities like Cobalt that does all three segments of this. You know what I'm saying? But you got to realistically say, what do you need? Because I tell everyone, hey, if you're an indie, look into Song Trust for two reasons. One, they give you so much information about publishing for free. I mean, quite literally, they give you a college degree level education on publishing for free via their blog and their website. So there's no excuse for anyone to not learn this information, short of you just not knowing where it was available. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you now, and I'm going to keep saying this. If you do not understand music publishing, if you have not heard the term music publishing, if you just heard it but not familiar with the conversation, go to Song Trust, check out their blogs, check out everything associated. And the reason why I say it is that people will be like, well, why don't you plug yourself in? I'm always here to have that conversation, but I'm a firm believer in getting that ground level conversation where it stands and then come back to me so we can have that educated conversation about what you truly need so I can be as beneficial to you as possible. Because if you don't know, I am an A&R administrator. Business is life. Publishing, all things associated to paperwork, you name it. That's where I live. Technology, that's my space. So I want to have as much of an intellectual conversation with you about what you need as possible. So I want to give you the resources to succeed. So again, go over to songtrust.com. They really gonna cut me a check one day.
I'm telling you, bro, like you going hard right now.
Yeah, man. So go to their site, look at their blogs, check out the conversations. They will literally teach you a college level conversation with regards to music publishing. You can go on Google and literally type in music publishing and you will find source links to Song Trust. I kid you not, right on their first page, Music Publishing 101. You can jump into their workshop. It's all free. Oh, and one other fun thing right there. If you just look at the top where it says estimate your streaming publishing royalties, you can actually pull up artists there and they'll give you a rough estimation of what that looks like. Because it associates through Spotify. I'm not gonna lie, Spotify is plugging a lot of ways, but it will send it to your email. So it's not one of those situations where it just publicly positions it. It does work in a level of privacy and say, hey, put in your information, who you represent, if you're just a student, etc. And they'll send that stuff to your email. So this is actually a very cool tool to look at because it gives you a generalized conversation of what people are potentially making per Associated Records from the aspect of royalties on a publishing collection side. So again, pop over here. These guys will get you together with regards to information. They'll also get you together on the collection and registration. But if you have questions, need assistance, things of that nature, even after looking at it, you can hit me up on Instagram at Urban Waves. Okay? You can hit my man's hanznobe up right there on that hanznobe, right on Instagram. He'll get you connected with me. We'll make things happen. But first and foremost, get over here and get that conversation cracking.
Yeah, that's all I got to say. Like I said, anyway, appreciate it. This is episode 29 of Capitalism and Art. We will go live on the Apple Podcast app pretty soon. It just takes a while to, I don't know, for whatever reason, they haven't figured out how to get all podcasts updated across the board. For whatever reason, we will have it, but we do appreciate each and every last one of you guys tuning in. Much love. Take care of yourself.